So with the addition of these schools, in addition to BYU, the conference now has schools spread across 3 different time zones. Obviously, it already had 2, with West Virginia being out there, in that Eastern time zone. But now, it's pretty geographically spread out. Do you guys see some inherent geographical challenges to this setup, or does that really even matter in today's college landscape?
I don't think it matters a whole lot. I mean, I think BYU to Orlando, whoever's going to lose that game, that's a long flight home.
Yeah.
But you look at UCF already goes to Houston and already has gone to SMU. They've gone to the Texas schools. They've made the long trip previously up to UConn and up to Temple as well. So, Orlando specifically, when I'm speaking about Orlando, they have a large airport with direct flights. I think more than enough direct flights compared to some of these other schools. So I don't think it's that big of an issue. I mean, from a football perspective, you're going to charter a whole plane and maybe a couple planes and fly them out to Texas and the rest of the Big 12. But, maybe I know there's no soccer, but maybe for like tennis or some of those other non-revenue sports, that might be a little challenging. But, from a football perspective, basketball perspective, I don't think it's that major of a deal. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening because, it wouldn't make sense.
Right.
Guys, I agree. Geography doesn't matter anymore. I mean, I don't even think kids know what a map is these days. Texas women put out a tweet this week where it had Austin to KC, and it had KC where McAllen, Texas would be. So I don't know who put that tweet together, but they must have failed geography that or missed that week of class. But you look at the way things are set up. I mean, we've heard of Houston and the Pac-12, and can you imagine Houston to Pullman, or you look at the American, the way it's set up. Temple's way up there, sort of by themselves, and we talk about travel partners and East Carolina. The way that the American's going now, I'm surprised Marshall didn't get a look, simply to be closer to one of those northeast or eastern seaboard schools. But 3 time zones, 2 time zone. I think what these conferences want to do now is, if you're going to survive, you got to sort of expand your reach. The Big 12 gets into to the Florida market, which they've never been in. They've long wanted that. And then you look at them going out west. BYU's got such a huge national following that I think it's going to cover multiple, even more time zones, because you're gonna get that reach that they offer. So yeah, I mean Siri can't even tell me how to get from my doorstep to downtown Houston time. So I don't think anybody's going to care where the schools are located. It all works out. It'll be a little bit more expensive, and it'll be a little bit more tiring, where we hear that the student athletes will miss valuable class time, but they all seem to figure that out and work it out. Class can wait.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Everybody's always trying to expand their footprint, and this is just a bigger foot here. So I say bring in Hawaii, just see what happens.
Let's see if the Trib can spring for that trip. John. You've gone to Hawaii on the Trib's dime before.
That was many moons ago.
Okay, yeah, that's true. I tend to agree with you guys. Not to be a contrarian, but I have been known to be a contrarian before. I do feel like where it really will be more of a challenge is in some of these other sports, non-revenue sports. And it'll be interesting to see maybe what they do with scheduling a little bit. Like, just for instance, the Big 12 used to, before COVID, play volleyball matches on like Wednesdays and Saturdays. And then COVID came along and they sort of tweaked the schedule, and now they're doing these back-to-backs where they play, the same opponent in the same location, like Friday, Saturday, and it cuts down on travel. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see some tweaks like that, so that you're not you know, going, not everybody may go to Orlando in volleyball, you know, or whatever it might be. So we'll see how that all works out, but certainly, you know, there's going to be some challenges, but I think Jason said it well. If these challenges were that big a deal, they wouldn't have done this. You know, I mean, they've looked at it.
You know, two little points to it, Brice. One, I don't know. I'd be interested from the BYU perspective if we've learned anything about the setup and how that'll affect potential Sunday games for the the Olympic type sports, and also the American, like in baseball last year. They sent everybody down to Florida at the beginning to do sort of a round robin setup where they all went to, I believe it was Tampa or in that area, and they played a chunk of conference games, and then the series were 4-game series rather than 3. So they sort of eliminated, you know, midweek games around conference play. But you know, there's ways around it where, like you said, you can double up. You can have that travel partner where, you know, if you're Houston, you go to Tulane and you play a Friday, Sunday volleyball. So, you know, I'm sure all those setups or options are on the table.
Yeah, no doubt.